This short video has been created to tell the heritage of Fairlop Plain, situated within the London Borough of Redbridge, 6 miles or 9 kilometres north-east of the London 2012 Olympic Stadium. A kaleidoscope of significant events associated with the unique site will appeal to people of all ages with a variety of interests. To find the beginning of history at Fairlop is a journey back to close to 500,000 years as the advancing ice sheet pushed the River Thames southwards to its present course, depositing a series of river gravels across East London. These river gravels have a huge commercial value, and quarrying has evolved from diggings in the 1700s to the modern aggregate industry. For most of this time, Britain was not yet an island. The second interglacial period, 435 to 235,000 years ago, was long and warm, which led to a rise in sea levels. In this photograph, taken in 1916 at Forest Farm, a Royal Navy air station where pilots were taught to fly, can be seen the Tower of All Saints, Chigwell Row, above the 3 marked on an aeroplane. 450,000 years ago, by Chigwell Church was an ice sheet, 1 mile and 3/4, 3.3 kilometres high, which went all the way to Scotland. Evidence of this can be seen on the Settle to Carlisle Railway, where a large area of limestone, called the pavement, scraped away as the ice retreated. It is claimed that in the 1960s, men working on gravel extraction at Fairlop saw large ancient bones being whisked along conveyor belts. There was no chance of stopping the excavation, so quite a lot of archaeology must have been lost, including the bones of mammoths. Deposits in the Ilford area provide evidence of past environments. During 19th century excavations, brick earth diggings at quarries exposed many finds, including the skull of a mammoth, the largest found in England. This skull, found in Boyne Hill gravel, was uncovered in Ilford Lane near the roundabout, junction with Winton Way. The remains are on display in the Museum of London. Newham Museum Service, Essex County Council Archaeological Unit, together with the Museum of London, carried out a series of excavations evaluated as gravel extraction continued. Enclosure ditches contained finds from Middle Iron Age to 2nd century AD. A group of cremation burials dated from the late 1st to early 2nd century AD. Visible crop marks of a Roman field system evacuated 3rd to the 4th century AD. One enclosure was a Roman-built agricultural structure. Numerous lava quern stone fragments suggest it was used for crop processing. A flagon, probably containing a votive offerings to fill a vow made to a god for deliverance, was found in an early Roman cremation pit at Fairlop Quarry. Museum of Redbridge claimed it was found elsewhere. The Museum of London say it was found at Fairlop. In the time of Edward the Confessor, parts of the county of Essex were described as a royal forest. After 1066, by royal prerogative, forest law was widely applied. Forest law is a legal term denoting the monarch's right to hunt in the forest. The law was designed to protect the venison, red and fallow deer, roe and wild boar, plus the vegetation that sustained them. Forests were designed as hunting areas reserved for the monarch or by invitation the aristocracy. Forest laws were often evoked with severe penalties with regard to protecting the king's deer. Offenders caught poaching or disturbing the king's deer could be executed or maimed, but fines were more profitable. Fences could not be erected to keep the deer out. All trees and scrub such as holly, blackthorn, hawthorn and crabapple, which provided food for the deer, were protected. Following the dissolution of the monasteries, Henry VIII ordered an inventory of the woodland at Hainault Forest, an area of 3,012 acres. In 1544, George Maxey and William Mildmay surveyed the Crown and former Barking Abbey lands at Hainault, and 4 private woods nearby. The forest was managed partly for hunting, which required areas, plains or lawns to be free from trees, because you cannot chase a deer through dense woodland. Fairlop oak is said to have existed from halfway up the Christian era and situated in the middle of a glade in Hainault Forest in 3,012 acres known as the King's Wood. It is said that in the midday sun its branches caused shadows of 300 feet, 91 metres circumference, or roughly an acre of land. Today the oak survives within St Pancras Church, Euston Road. It has 2 relics of the Fairlop oak. First is a pulpit with mahogany veneer and a curved iron stair made from the stump of the Fairlop oak. The second relic is a framed pastel signed by D.J. Webster of Chigwell Row in 1800. In the 1720s, Daniel Day, a block and pump maker from Wapping, inherited property at Fairlop, and on the first Friday of July came with friends to collect the annual rents. Afterwards he arranged for bacon and beans from the Maypole pub. He and his friends then enjoyed their feast in the shade of Fairlop oak. It slowly took on the beginnings of a fair, with the attendance of stalls selling toys, together with puppets, acrobats and other circus entertainments. It was respectable at first and regulated, but by 1738 the first prosecutions of stallholders took place for gaming and illegal sales of alcohol. There was also a case of theft of a bell at Fairlop Fair held at the Old Bailey. Daniel Day felt at home on the River Thames, so he put bit wheels on a boat pulled by a team of horses travelling in style to the fair, accompanied by musicians. By the 1750s, between 30,000 and 100,000 people attended the fair. In his will, he declared that he was to be buried in the churchyard of St Margaret's Church, Barking, and his body placed in a boat, then conveyed to Barking by water. In 1846, P.C. George Hall was fatally injured when thrown from his horse after 15 hours of duty at Fairlop Fair. His name appears in the Book of Remembrance of the Metropolitan Police. It cannot be certain where the fair was held after deforestation in 1851. By 1900, not only had the Fairlop oak had been long gone, but so had the forest itself. During the mid-18th century, so many illegal enclosures were being made in the forest of Essex. It resulted in fences being torn down by forest officials and people appearing in court. On the advice of commissioners, an act was passed in 1851 for the deforestation of Hainault Forest, and this was duly passed. Fairlop has a unique association with 6 airfields built on Fairlop Plain. The first flight took place in 1911 of a Handley Page monopram. There were 2 airfields in World War I. Forest Farm, a Royal Naval Air Station where they taught people to fly, and Hainault Farm, used by the Royal Flying Corps. Chigwell, a civil airfield with scheduled flights to Ramsgate and Margate. Then there was the planned City of London Airport, abandoned in 1938, and RAF Station Fairlop, operational in 1941. Handley Page a Barking-based company, used Fairlop as a flying ground in July 1911 when a Type E HP-5, nicknamed the Yellow Peril, had its first test flight, but later the company had moved to Cricklewood. Fairlop was second choice as an aerodrome for use by the Royal Navy Air Service to teach pilots to fly. There were many flying accidents and collisions. On the 6th of November 1918, Jewish-Canadian Harry Jaspy died in a flying accident. His gravestone says he is aged 22, but he lied about his age and was only 20. Alfred de Brath-Bandon from New Zealand, on patrol in a BE-2 on the night 23rd to 24th September 1916, came across Super Zeppelin L-33 in the dark over Chelmsford. L-33 was 650 feet, 198 metres long, 75 feet, 24 metres diameter, a bomb load of 3 to 5 tons, at maximum speed of 62 miles an hour, but this was affected by wind speed, and a crew of 21. By contrast, a BE-2 aeroplane is 27 feet, 8.3 metres long, with a maximum speed of 72 miles an hour. He fired 2 magazines of incendiary bullets, and the Zeppelin disappeared, and eventually crashed at 1:20 a.m. at Little Wigborough near West Mersey. The crew were unhurt, the Zeppelin not badly damaged, so the crew decided to set light to it and warm the Lewis family in Newhall cottages nearby. They did not respond. There was an explosion of sorts, as most of the gas had escaped. RAF Station Fairlop was operational from October 1941 until flying stopped in March 1944 in preparations for D-Day. Fairlop had bed spaces for 1,400 men and women. Investigations suggest over 6,500 people were stationed there in those 4 years. In the main, these people are forgotten, as operational record books only name the pilots. Other ranks rarely get a mention. Because Fairlop was designated to be a satellite of Hornchurch, it does not have a crest, as do most other stations. This crest shows the 4 aircraft which flew from Fairlop: a Spitfire, Hurricane, Typhoon and Mustang, with the backdrop of Fairlop Oak. It is an acknowledgement and a dedication to all those forgotten folk who lived, fought and died at Fairlop in the name of peace. For decades I have been trying to trace those who served at Fairlop and met only 4. Leading aircraftsman John Wilkinson, who manned a machine gun post near Fairlop Station; Flight Sergeant Harold Bennett, first to fly operational from Fairlop, shot down in December 1941 and spent the rest of the war as a prisoner of war; Flying Officer Ken Gillis-Trott, who often flew on his own to attack V1 sites in northern France, collided with an ME-109 in 1944 and spent the rest of the war as a POW; and Corporal Stan Parsons, who serviced Mustangs with 239 Squadron. The rest are forgotten and unknown. For the full story, visit www.fairlopplaintimes.com.